ordered, so we're going to have first 6 questions. That's right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, sorry from the BBC. I'm going to start with my apologies, Betty. I'm going to ignore you. Is that okay?
That's okay. I've got a heads
we will
up.
get to you, but I'm going to start with Joe if that's okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. Joe, before I get going, could you just give us a general injury update on the whole squad?
We've been fortunate. We've been in a good position throughout this tournament. So yeah, we're well. Thank you.
One big injury update is sat next to you right now. Tell us, what is it like having Bessie back?
It's amazing to have Bessie back. I think in those warm-up games, you always want. Obviously, they're really important and they're critical to our preparation. But when you see a player go down injured, at that point, it's really hard, especially when it's your captain. And I think the whole squad felt it when we had those 2 injuries in that game. So to see how hard she has worked to get to this point is a credit to Bessie and the type of person and leader that she is.
How much has her inclusion sort of influenced your team selection? We noticed you've gone 6-2 on the bench. Is that part of it? There's 2 reasons. One, obviously Bessie is returning, and 2, we just feel that opportunity to get fresh legs on the field in the second half is important in the pack. Hopefully we're looking forward to better weather come Saturday. But just overall, how have you prepared your team for the occasion of taking on England in front of 30,000 plus?
Yeah, well, the actual natural build-up through this tournament has done that. We've had some really good warm-up games. We had a really great crowd come out and support us in Sydney in our final game there. But then the two games that we've had already here, that the crowd is maybe a bit smaller, but the energy that's come off the crowd and the noise that's come off the crowd has been really impressive.
And just adding to that, I was listening to some of your players speak earlier in the week about getting off the bus and having fans waiting for them, and just saying they're taken aback by the fact that it's not just friends and family anymore. Do you think this is really going to help in the build to 2029 of the expectations of what women's rugby will look like in Australia?
Yeah, it's been amazing, and from the moment we landed and we got met by World Rugby and we had people asking to have their photo taken with us at the airport, to walking around Manchester and seeing the posters and just so, and people knowing that the tournament's happening. Like every city we've gone to, we've been really well supported and really well looked after, and I think that's a credit to, the tournament organisers, but also how people have got behind the women's sport at the moment. It's been awesome to see.
For you personally, how much have you been looking forward to this one fixture with your history, not just as a former England captain, but you know a lot of these players very well? I do. Having coached quite a few, obviously through the pathway with England, but for us, the way we've approached it is the same as we've approached any other game. Nothing's changed from that perspective. The focus is always and remains very much on us as a squad. Do you sometimes feel that the rugby stars align when Alex Matthews was named captain this morning, with the relationship that you have with her? Yeah, no,
I did notice that. Obviously, I'm thrilled for Alex. She's a great person as well as player. So to see her on form is lovely, because she's very deserving of that.
How do you beat England?
Like I said to you, and like we've said all week, and every test match we've played, the focus is always on us, and us as a team being better and working. We had a lot of things that we got right last weekend, but we also had a few things that we were a bit disappointed with. So there's been a real focus on that this week, and focusing on what we can bring and be better at going into Saturday.
And I hope you don't think this is too cheeky, but we know that your time with Australia will come to an end, whatever happens at this Rugby World Cup. Have you thought about what you might like to do if you're returning to England?
Honestly, no. This has obviously been a really kind of intense period around preparing for a World Cup, and all my energy and thoughts have very much been with this squad. So my initial thoughts is I'll just have a bit of a breather. I'll focus on the family. Obviously, they're transitioning back to life in the UK, and that'll be my priority.
Do you think maybe coaching the Red Roses might be somewhere in your future if an opportunity did come up?
It's not something at this point that I've given any thought to.
Thank you so much for your time, Jo.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Jo, just following up on that,
I think Sione last week was saying it felt like fate when him as an Australian was drawn against Australia. Did you have that same feeling when that draw was done and at the top of the pool sit the Red Roses and you found yourself in this pool out?
No, obviously it's been our first fixture, and we've been really fortunate to have a lot of fixtures. So, I didn't see it from that perspective. I think straight away we look at kind of the lead up and then like the games building up to it, and straight away my mind kind of went into that rather than the specific that it was England.
Is there a natural advantage that you have when you are game planning because of that, again, knowledge that you have of the English players and maybe those tendencies a bit further than you would have of other teams?
Obviously it's been a while since I coached some of these girls. I probably coached a lot of the Welsh and the Scottish a lot more recently, so I probably know some of those players just as well, but it's been a while. These were under 20s when I coached them, so yeah, it's been a few years.
Pessy, to bring you in, that feeling of getting named after all the rehab and pushing to this point, can you just take us into those initial moments and what it means to you?
Yeah, it was a very special moment for me. My heart was full of gratitude and thanks, and God, first and foremost of everything, all my thanks is to Him. But you need a village, and I always talk about it. It's my family back home. It's all those who work alongside me, and like I always got to thank my coaches and Hammer, because ultimately it's up to them whether they choose to invest a bit of time into me to get me here. And so I'm just really grateful because I feel like I'm in a good place to perform first and foremost, and then just to give back to those who have decided to put all this time into me.
Like, I think the original plan, you were aiming for that USA game, to have that minor setback, how did you handle that mentally, just in terms of, understanding that, some things don't go to plan, but really sort of putting all your energy back into this game?
Yeah, I think first and foremost I have to understand the integrity behind it all, and just understanding whether I'm physically capable of, giving to this team, and I definitely wasn't able to. And so team first mentality, just making sure that I can identify that I'm not at my 100% and I'm not ready yet, and just taking a foot back, and just understanding that I definitely have a team, and if you've seen the back rows, like any one of us could play, and like that kind of confidence allows me to take that step back.
How hard was that though? Like the human side of things, right? USA, that game we talked about for ages. To take that step back must have been pretty tough.
Yeah, it is, I guess. As a human, you would be disappointed if you don't get picked and whatnot, but it's so different when you actually play alongside your teammates. I say it all the time, rugby is one of those sports where you create lifetime teammates, and those in the back row position I actually have really good relationships with, and Boo's probably one of my besties there, and seeing Piper come back, like when you see people ultimate perform, you only want what's best for them.
And I guess as a captain of the team getting injured, having to fight your way back into a position where you can play at the World Cup, did you feel a sense of almost responsibility? And like the players are going to look to you as a leader even when you're trying to fight your way back. Did you kind of feel that sense of, I've got to show a bit of character here, and no?
Yeah, it does, I guess, test who you are, and who you are as a person first and foremost. And for myself, it was about just making sure what was best for the team, and for me, it was about making sure I was right. It was making sure I was right mentally, physically, emotionally, and let everything come as it goes. But we have a leadership group for a reason. We had captains Chance and Leaney step up, and our girls respect them, and it was probably an easier transition for me to come in. But like I said, we have a really good group of 32 who can look to each other as friends. So it's easy for us, I guess, to turn to each other if we need anything.
You mentioned Tabua, like the 5 loose forwards that have been named this week. How good is that group? Like Tabua's on the bench, Chance is on the bench after co-captaining this team in 2 tests. How good is this group of 5 as a back row combination?
It's good because, like I said, any of those 5, I believe you can start or you can come off the bench. Probably our version of a bomb squad, knowing that we want to make sure we finish strong, and I think that's something that we're definitely going to get, especially with that back row coming on.
Joe, how tough and challenging has this week been? Obviously, the unknowns of, like, obviously the USA get to play first. You don't know what it's going to take to qualify for the quarters, but how challenging has this week been from the coach's perspective to manage everyone's feelings, excitement, nerves, all
Yeah,
that stuff?
it was a slightly different scenario than what we thought we'd be facing, because ultimately after a game you kind of know either way, and the not knowing. We spent some time on Sunday evening as a group just going through all the scenarios and putting everything out on the table for the players so they know exactly like what is required for us obviously to qualify. And then from that point on, it's kind of like, okay, we put that to one side, and now we just focus on our normal test week, because we know what we need to do. That's not for these guys to worry about. We'll obviously be across all of that, but their job is to go out and put in a performance.
Does your approach change then, Joe, knowing that 4 tries would be enough to progress? Do you go chasing tries, or is that almost the wrong way to go about it?
Yeah, for us it's very much approaching it from a player's perspective in the same way. We obviously are aware of that, so if it comes later in the game and that there's decisions to be made, like we'll make sure those messages go on to players. But ultimately, if you go on, we have to focus on what we can control in terms of our own performances and what we need to do to be able to perform, and then everything else then as the game goes on we can get the right messages on for players.
You played in some highly successful England sides. Just how good is this current crop, and what have you seen from them maybe in this last couple of years where it seems like maybe they've gone to another level again?
Yeah, obviously as a nation they invested a long time before a lot of other teams, and that's obviously comes to fruition with the pathways that are in place. I think that's something that England have done well in terms of, you know, they have pathways. These girls are getting a lot of game time, a lot more than a lot of other nations are getting, and that's really evident where, you know, we sit at probably less than half the caps that the Red Roses have, and that's obviously a challenge sometimes for other nations, because these girls are getting so much more game time into PWR and in their internationals, plus now they've got the under-20s and the Six Nations happening, which is, you know, which puts them in a really good place.
Jess Breach was reflecting earlier on her debut. She wins her 50th cap, and there are 5 debutants in that game against Canada in 2017 that are all still playing and all starting and all key figures. Do you think you may have begun a similar journey with Australia, with some of the young players you brought through in the last couple of years, even if, you know, depending on what happens this weekend, they may have another game, another couple of games, 3 games at this World Cup, but you think that maybe the pieces are being put in place for a similar future? Yeah,
there's been a huge amount of growth over the last two years with Hamey coming on board and a real change of how they view the women's game, and that's been amazing to see and amazing to be part of. Obviously, you know, for me it was the first time there'd been a full-time head coach there. We've now got other full-time staff, and it's just really important from Australia's perspective, from Rugby Australia's perspective, that we don't take a backward step, and that everything now is stepping up towards the World Cup, because the youngsters, like you said, that are in this squad now are going to be in a great position. So, you know, we've got some of them playing, but some of them haven't played yet in people like Bubba and Nua, who are, you know, 17, 18, 19-year-old girls that they're performing so well in training, and it's really exciting that if we get it right going forward, that they'll be in a really strong position.
You obviously want them to have a miserable afternoon on Saturday, but does it fill you with a little bit of pride seeing some of those girls you coached at under-20, some of whom were new to rugby? Rosie Gallagher was reflecting in the week that she was a centre, I think, at one stage, and you were part of moving her to the second row, and she's now performing on a World Cup stage. Does that fill you with a bit of pride? Yeah, I think any players that you obviously are fortunate to come into contact with and coach, and you always want them to individually go on and do well. You create connections and relationships with players in your coaching journey, and you always want to see them be successful.
Joe, can I just ask, you guys referenced the bomb squad before, the 6-2 split. Was there any thought of going full Rice and going to 7-1 with, you have Tia, you have the Ash Masters, you can play centre, like, does that thought go through your mind at selection table?
No, it didn't. We very much were, the 6-2. I think 7-1 is a pretty obviously a lot more risky, and we just, for us, we've gone 6-2 before. We're comfortable with 6-2, and we felt this was, which with the various reasons, we thought this was a good one to go for it.
And just that complete change in the front row, it seems like you've got 2 units now that you're sort of chopping and changing with. What's the different dynamic between sort of 1 and 2? Is it sort of, does one rival pace? What's it sort of dictates whether you go one way or the other?
some rotation, so keeping players fresh, and sometimes it's what the focus is for us this week, whether it's the scrum or the line out or pace around the field. Like, it allows us to now, like we've said before, there's we've got a lot more depth in that front row now, which allows us to rotate according to the game we're playing in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I would want to be a part of those chats.
You guys all ready? Yeah.
Yep.
Go for it.
Cal,
Hello.
not a co-captain this week.
Nope.
Obviously, how does that change your, I guess not your prep this week, but your the role in the squad? Does it change too much? Or?
Yeah, no, nothing really changes for me. Obviously, super excited that Bessie's back, and she's an incredible leader within this squad, an incredible captain. Have learnt a lot from her playing alongside her, and also while she's been on the sidelines injured. Nothing changes for me in terms of my role in the team. Still, I feel like I lead through my actions and definitely in that line out in that forward space. So yeah, just keen to get there and whether there's a C next to my name or not, I feel like we can all be leaders in our own right. So yeah, just do my job.
How did you find the last 2 weeks with that position?
Yeah, it was really good. It was a really good learning experience. Obviously really enjoyed doing that next to Emily Chancellor as well, who's an experienced captain. And like I said, learn a lot from Bessie as well. And we have a really good relationship where we talk a lot off field as well around different ways that we like to lead, and we learn from one another. So yeah, it was a good experience for me to kind of have that in my belt going forward.
And it was kind of a while ago now, but take us back to the USA game last week.
Mm-hmm.
A few minutes to go. Obviously scores a level, I think. It was a more. And you
Yeah.
slam your way through and managed to get the turnover.
Yeah.
What was it like as a player on the field in those last few minutes? Like, how tense? And
Yeah, it's interesting, like reflecting back on it. I think in the moment I wasn't too concerned, but I wasn't really thinking about the scoreline. I think that if you start doing that, then you start to kind of lose yourself within the game. So I was more thinking about doing my job and sticking to my process, and hopefully obviously the outcome will follow. But I knew that line out that they had was going to be a big turning point, and I think that's one of my strengths around that line out area. So I thought it was a good opportunity for me to kind of get that turnover and hopefully put us back in the front foot. So yeah, it was just good to get out there and do my job, but wasn't too concerned about the scoreline because you don't want to lose yourself in the game. But yeah, it was a big moment in the game.
And looking ahead to this week, England, a lot of players you would have played with and against in PWR. Any players in particular you're most looking forward to taking on this week?
Honestly, their whole forward pack is really strong, and I think that it's a testament to them. They're number one in the world for a reason. So we always talk about if you want to be the best, you got to play the best. So luckily I've come across a lot of them throughout the PWR, like you said, playing for Quinn. So keen just to see some old teammates and see have some new rivalries out there, but I think it'll be really good.
Brighton, when it comes to rugby, is a place which is known for rugby upsets. I mean, 2015,
Yes.
Japan, South Africa. Is there anything you can almost draw on that spirit as you sort of go to the ground tomorrow and sort of try and pull off, I think, what Chance called what would be the upset of the tournament?
Yeah, I think with the big focus this has been about us and like I said, our process, and hopefully the outcome will follow. I think if you get too caught up in chasing the outcome, then you'll lose the game a little. So it's important for us as a team to kind of go out there and stick to our processes. We know we're a good attacking team, and if we can defend really well and get the ball back and score some really cool tries, and that's obviously really important for us. But yeah, we have talked about that Japan and New Zealand game at that World Cup, and definitely the Japan and South Africa game. Not going to shy away from that because it's a cool stadium. It'd be pretty cool to repeat history. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
As a forward pack, like the growth has been exponential around 2025. Like when you sort of find out you're playing England, how much as a wider group do you just sort of circle out and go, right, this is where we can test ourselves against what's been the benchmark for the best part of a decade now? Yeah,
definitely. I kind of said before, like we want to obviously play the best. You have to beat the best, and I think that it'll be a good challenge for our forward pack, and like you said, we have had a lot of growth in that area, definitely in our line out, scrum more time. So I think the forward pack's up for it. We're really excited for it. We know that it'll be a challenge, but we also know that there's, like any team, there's weaknesses there, and there's been things that we know that we can pick apart. So hopefully we can do that on Saturday.
Just on prepping for this week, I mean, there is a slim chance that this is the final week of the tournament for the side. Like, how do you go about blocking that thought and really keeping the focus, like, laser on this week and again, on your own game rather than the other permutations that can happen?
Yeah, I just think it's really important to focus on the game itself and not getting too wrapped up in the results. I think if you go into a game trying to chase, whether it be 4 tries or whether it is to chase the win, then you kind of you'll lose it a little. You'll try and be pushing passes and you'll get out of system a little bit, trying to create something that may not be there. So I think it's been important for us for this week just to focus on our system, and we know that we play some really good rugby when we're backing ourselves and when we're defending really well. We're feeling really connected both sides of the ball. So nothing really changes this Saturday. Whatever the outcome will be. But we know that we're in a really good place going forward.
Obviously, forwards, they're the ones who lay the foundation and do the work that needs to be done. But the outside backs for Aussie, Desi Miller, 5 tries,
incredible,
obviously prolific. Caitlin Hall's fullback. How important are those 3 as a combo on the back of the work you guys do up front? Against a team like England? Yeah,
really big. It's important for us as a forward pack to lay that platform for them. We know that they're a really big strength in our side, and if we can lay a really strong foundation and unleash them, we've seen what they can do. The likes of Desi, Maya, Kid, they're incredible athletes, and they play a bloody exciting game. So yeah, I know that we focus on our job and giving them that launch platform that we can get them the ball early and they can go crazy.
Caitlin, how do you reflect on your PWR stint? Was it almost transformative in a way in your career?
I would, definitely say it was. I first started the PWR, I think it was 2023 after the last World Cup. Sorry, was it 2023? Yeah. It goes by so quick. 2023, the last World Cup, and I was in a place there where, as an athlete, I didn't really play much in that World Cup. I probably had a lot to learn about myself as a player on and off the field, and I definitely think the PWR and playing within the Quins environment really shaped me as the player I am today, and I've got nothing but good things to say about the competition. The best players in the world travel there for a reason and play there for a reason, and it's competitive week in, week out, and you see that in the growth in all of the international sides. Those girls that are playing in that competition are really key players of the international program as well. So yeah, it's a great program, and I loved being a part of it.
And do you think it's almost as important to get that domestic structure right as the national team? We've seen the way that Super W has developed over the last few years, and some of the things that are being put in place there. Joe was just talking about various other things behind the scenes that need to be put in place, because it's not just about what Wallaroos are doing, is it? It's everything beneath that feeds it. Yeah,
definitely. We've spoken about that a fair bit. I think it's really important for Australian rugby to grow, and like we've seen at this World Cup, we've got incredible athletes that if we can play longer competitions and have more games, imagine where we could be as a nation. So yeah, I think it was good for me to go away, and I guess having that experience in the PWR, I learn a lot about playing week in, week out, and the combinations you build, and you learn about yourself as a competitor. And I think that if we can get more games in Super W and grow our domestic competition, it'll just put us in a good place going forward on a national level as well.
Were there particular players at Harlequins that you sort of modelled yourself on, or it just struck you that you recognised things that you could improve about your game from them?
I wouldn't say any player in particular, but I think just the playing with a lot of different internationals, and obviously Northern Hemisphere play a different game to what Australia plays, so I learned a lot about the set piece, which was something that was important obviously as a second rower. So one of my best mates now, Sarah Bonner, plays for Scotland. We built a really close relationship, so playing with her week in, week out was really special, and I think you learn a lot about players and you pick up certain things that they do and you learn off one another. So yeah, that was just really special for me.
You mentioned Sarah Bonner there playing for Scotland. She brings up her 50th this weekend when she plays. Do you find it at times bizarre that Australian women's rugby still hasn't got to that milestone?
Yeah, bizarre, I do. I think that we're in a much better place now than what we were. Like you saw, obviously the last 2 years we've had a lot more test matches than we have in the past, but sometimes we have ex-Wallaroos come in and do a jersey preso, and they may get up there and say they've been playing for the Wallaroos for 6, 7, 8 years, and they may only have 10 caps in their name, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, we've definitely come a long way. There is a long way to go, but I think we've started a really good foundation going forward.
And you talked there about the pathways being put in place in Australia. In the next 4-year cycle, do you see Australian players still coming over to the PWR and mixing it with Super W, or do you think it's going to be far more Australia focused?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm hoping that the competition in Australia obviously gets bigger and better. I think that you can't. It's hard because obviously the athlete, as the individual, you want to keep playing more games, and if the competition in Australia doesn't, extend, then I wouldn't be mad at an athlete trying to go overseas and playing elsewhere. But in saying that, you also want your best players playing in your own country, in your own domestic comp, because you want to grow that competition as well. So, yeah, it's a tough one. I just think that I just need to bite the bullet and get some more funding in there and grow the game. But yeah, so.
Would you be open to going back to PWR? There was a big offer on the table.
Yeah, I'd be open to it.
Any team in particular, or definitely back to Quins?
I'm pretty loyal to Quins, so probably Quins. Open to conversations, but I loved my time at Quins. Yeah.
Amazing. And just hopefully a fun one. Can you give us a little bit of a taste of what it's like in the Wallaroos camp? How you're switching off? What fun and games are going on when you're off the pitch?
Yeah, we have a lot of fun together off field. We're a really close bunch, and we've built a really good culture here that we just honestly just love hanging out with one another. So a lot of board games, a lot of days off. We're exploring obviously the new countries together. Just having a lot of laughs and a lot of giggles. It's good fun.
Can you give us a taste of if there's like a Scrabble league, or I don't know, what sort of things are going on? Ping pong championship?
Do we do anything, Shay? I'm trying to think.
There's a lot of game of traitors going on in other camps that I'm aware of.
We have played. It's not called traitors. It's like a murder mystery one.
Okay.
Laurie Kramer brought it in from Exeter. She also played in PWR. She was playing in Exeter. It's a game they played there, and basically you get a name where you have to kill that person, poison them or whatever it may be. It sounds bad explaining it, but it's good fun. But yeah, a lot of just board games and card games.
Is it one of the ones where you can like sort of kill them in a photo or something?
Yes. So you can put a sticker under their drink and poison them in that way. Yeah.
Assassin, I believe. So.
Assassin, that's the one.
There we go. See, populist one. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.